Have you ever stared at your game library like it personally offended you, scrolling endlessly, knowing full well you're just going to end up playing the same game for the 100th time? Well, not today, because I'm here to bless you with 20 absolute bangers, games so ridiculously good they might actually fix your backlog, or just make it worse. We've got mutant nightmares, angry gods, space wizards, horror so terrifying it'll make you sleep with the lights on, and even a heroic crab fighting for its tiny shell-covered life. If that doesn't sound like a solid weekend, I don't know what does. So strap in, charge your controllers, and prepare to have your mind blown, possibly along with your free time. Let's go. Ever wondered what would happen if Dark Souls and SpongeBob had a midlife crisis together? Well, here's your answer. Another crab's treasure. You play as a vengeful hermit crab, scuttling through an ocean filled with hostile shrimp, aggressive lobsters, and trash so abundant it makes your local beach look pristine. Instead of fancy armor, you protect yourself with soda cans, old forks, and whatever else the sea gods have cursed you with. It's an underwater RPG with brutally difficult combat, where you'll die so often you'll start sympathizing with seafood platters. The bosses are absurdly difficult, and the game makes sure you feel every ounce of pain. Ever been drop-kicked by an angry clam? Well, you will be. But once you master the art of crab foo and start slapping sharks around with a discarded tin can, you'll feel like Poseidon's chosen warrior. If you ever wanted a deep, emotional journey that also lets you battle a sword-wielding octopus, this is the game for you. You know, a game is next level insane when the main character is a kung fu monkey wielding a magical, size-changing staff. And somehow, that's just the beginning of the madness. Black myth. Wukong is what happens when a traditional Chinese legend gets mixed with the combat of Sekiro and the graphics of a Hollywood blockbuster. It's so visually stunning that your GPU might file a lawsuit against you. Every boss fight feels like it was choreographed by a martial arts master who personally hates you, and every enemy encounter will leave you questioning whether you're actually playing a video game or starring in a wuxia epic. The combat is so fluid that you'll pull off moves so cool, you'll be tempted to start practicing them in real life, until you realize gravity exists. If you've ever dreamed of flipping through the air and smacking mythical creatures in the face with a glowing stick, this game will fulfill that fantasy in the most spectacular way possible. Capcom decided to take Resident Evil 4, one of the most beloved horror action games ever made, and somehow make it even better, proving once again that Leon Kennedy ages like fine wine and action movie logic. Everything from the original has been enhanced, intensified, and made so immersive that you'll start looking over your shoulder in real life, expecting villagers with pitchforks. The graphics? So realistic. You'll almost feel bad about shooting zombies in the face. The combat? Smoother than Leon's perfectly conditioned hair. And the enemies? They've been hitting the gym and learning new ways to make you scream in terror. The Chainsaw Man alone is enough to send grown adults into fight or flight mode, and let's not even talk about those regenerators. Whoever redesigned them probably sleeps just fine at night, but the rest of us sure don't. If you missed the original or just want to experience peak survival horror with modern polish, this game is your ticket to adrenaline-fueled nightmares.
Something. To think you could be this foolish.
Picture this. The zombie apocalypse has hit LA, But instead of brooding over it like a typical survival horror game, Dead Island 2 decides to throw a massive undead party. This game doesn't just let you kill zombies, it lets you obliterate, electrocute, dismember, and set them on fire in ways that are so absurdly creative, it feels like an episode of Mythbusters gone wrong. Ever wanted to turn a sledgehammer into an electrified weapon of mass destruction? This game lets you. Want to dropkick a zombie off a rooftop and watch it splatter like a water balloon? Absolutely. The combat is so gruesomely satisfying that you'll actually start looking forward to every fight. And let's not forget the NPCs. These characters are so ridiculously LA that even during the apocalypse, someone's still worried about their influencer brand. It's a game that knows exactly how over the top it is and leans into the chaos, making it one of the most hilarious, brutally fun zombie games ever made. If you thought Silent Hill 2 was terrifying before, congratulations, you're about to discover new depths of fear you didn't know existed. This remake takes the original's mind-melting horror and cranks it up to an unbearable level with hyper-realistic visuals, suffocating fog, and sound design so disturbingly good that you'll start getting paranoid about every creak in your house. The game's story is still one of the most gut-punching narratives in horror gaming, proving once again that the real monsters aren't just the ones with weird faces and bad posture. Sometimes, the scariest thing is your own past. And yes, Pyramid Head is back, and he's still as terrifying as ever. Every encounter in this game will leave you emotionally drained, physically tense, and possibly questioning why you even enjoy horror games in the first place. But let's be real, you're still going to play it because who needs sleep anyway? Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is what happens when a classic RPG gets a glow-up so massive, it could be a contestant on a makeover show. It takes everything we loved about the original, Cloud's impossibly big sword, Sephiroth's Olympic gold medal level brooding, and a story so legendary it's basically RPG scripture, and cranks it up to holy materia, this is amazing levels. The combat is smooth like butter, the open world is so big you'll need a vacation just to explore it all, and the new story twists will have even veteran fans yelling at their screens in confusion and excitement. Also, Red 13 is finally playable, meaning you can now run into battle as a talking, sword-wielding lion-dog hybrid, which is honestly worth the price alone. If you've ever wanted to experience a JRPG that will emotionally wreck you and make you love every second of it, then congrats, you just found your new obsession.
They're nothing. Keep it together.
Yeah, I'll do it. Pouring it on. Give 'em hell.
All set. Keep it up.
Water-based horror is already terrifying. We all saw Jaws, right? But Still Wakes the Deep takes that fear, drowns it in pure dread, and then throws in some supernatural nightmare fuel for good measure. You're stuck on an oil rig in the middle of nowhere, and because life isn't already awful enough, something horrible starts lurking in the shadows, turning your workplace into a death trap that's somehow worse than the Monday morning staff meeting. You have no weapons, no way to fight back, just your wits and a strong urge to scream in terror. The game's atmosphere is so thick with tension, you could cut it with a rusty wrench, and every dark corner makes you feel like you're about to be someone's midnight snack. If you enjoy games that make your heart rate skyrocket, your palms sweat, and your electricity bill spike from leaving all the lights on, this one's for you.
Halfway out of here. One more. One more. Right. Now the lever. Get it into position. Nearly out of this. No! Jesus! What? And fuck! Oh, that's just brilliant. Perfect. Now fucking what? No. Locked.
Imagine if Devil May Cry and Guitar Hero had a baby, but instead of being a weird, unplayable mess, it turned out to be one of the coolest, most stylish action games ever made. That's Hi-Fi Rush, a game where everything moves to the beat. Your attacks, the enemies, even the freaking cutscenes sync up to the music. And we're not talking about some generic stock music either. We're rocking out to actual bangers while pulling off combat combos so flashy they should come with a warning for excessive swagger. The game's protagonist, Chai, is basically what happens when a failed rock star accidentally gets superpowers, and his journey is so absurdly fun that you won't even notice you've been grinning like an idiot for hours. Whether you're smashing robots with a guitar or just vibing to the game's infectious rhythm, Hi-Fi Rush is an instant mood booster and an absolute must-play for anyone who's ever air guitared in their bedroom.
That's the defect? Looks suspicious. Could it be?
Hey! You looking for me?
Get him!
Try and catch this?
Next, we have a game that lets you live out your ultimate treasure hunting fantasies because, let's be honest, we've all wanted to crack a whip and punch bad guys in the face while making questionable life choices in ancient ruins. Indiana Jones and the Great Circle puts you in the legendary boots of Dr. Henry I'm Too Cool for a First Name Jones Jr. and sends you on an adventure so epic it might actually be illegal in some countries. Expect booby-trapped temples, shady villains who definitely have a monologue ready, and puzzles so elaborate that you'll start questioning if ancient civilizations had way too much free time. And yes, the whip mechanics are everything you've ever dreamed of and more. If you've ever wanted a game that makes you feel like an action hero while also low-key testing your history knowledge, this one's about to be your new addiction.
And I believe Emmerich Voss is responsible.
So, this great circle, they think it's a conduit of some kind of power, correct?
Boss certainly does. He believes it'll secure his place in history. I'll have to study it some more. A circle must be complete to what? There's always a trigger.
Good luck, Indy.
If Spider-Man 2018 made us feel like superheroes, Spider-Man 2 makes us feel like superheroes with an unlimited budget and zero fear of crashing into buildings. Everything from the web swinging to the combat has been polished to perfection, meaning you can flip, kick, and web your way through New York City like a true menace to property insurance companies. And the best part? You're not just playing as one Spidey. You get both Peter Parker and Miles Morales, meaning double the heroic shenanigans, double the emotional trauma. The game's villains are so well written that you'll almost feel bad punching them in the face. Almost. And let's not forget the new abilities, because nothing says responsibility like turning into a part-time symbiote monster. This is peak superhero gaming, proving once again that no one does high-flying, web-slinging action quite like Insomniac Games.
Have awkward conversations in the teacher's lounge! Use the stairs, everyone! Spider-Man! Think you could sign for this delivery? ready? It's coming in hot! I'm there! I got him! Mini Marcos? I wish I could do that.
Set Mr. Airstick down, but not before he barked on my suit.
He's not the only one. Sandman just puked out some new bread.
Imagine being a ghost hunter, but instead of just busting spirits, you're dating one. That's Banisher's Ghosts of New Eden, where you play as a supernatural exorcist whose girlfriend is now a full-time ghost, which, let's be real, has to make date nights a logistical nightmare. This game throws you into a tragic, gut-wrenching story where you have to decide between saving innocent people or bringing your spectral sweetheart back to life. Because why wouldn't a game make you feel like a moral failure every 5 minutes? Combat is intense, balancing spiritual smackdowns and sword-swinging action, and the choices you make will have consequences that'll haunt you harder than your unfinished backlog of games. If you love deep, emotional storytelling with a side of ghostly violence, this is a must-play. Just don't get too attached to your choices. You will regret them a lot. Being a Jedi sounds cool until you actually have to live it. One second you're doing sick flips with a lightsaber, the next you're getting yeeted across the galaxy by some overpowered Sith with anger issues. Star Wars Jedi Survivor takes everything great from Fallen Order and cranks it up, giving us a bigger world, crazier fights, and more ways to embarrass yourself with a double jump. Cal Kestis is back, still on the run from the Empire, still rocking the best ponchos in gaming, and now with even more force abilities that'll make you feel like an absolute boss. The combat, fluid and satisfying. The story hits harder than a Rancor in a bad mood. And the new open areas make you feel like you're actually living in the Star Wars universe instead of just visiting. Whether you want to duel like a pro or just mess around throwing stormtroopers off cliffs for fun, this game delivers.
Time to get after it.
Throwing a grenade.
You won't be waking up from that.
Not such a warm welcome.
I guess knocking isn't an option.
We'll find her.
Take Sekiro's parry-based combat, inject it with cyberpunk aesthetics, sprinkle in some ancient Taoist mythology, and top it all off with a protagonist who is basically a cyber samurai cat, and you get 9 souls. This game isn't just gorgeous, it's a 2D action masterpiece where every enemy wants to ruin your day, and every fight feels like a boss battle. The combat is so satisfying that landing a perfect parry makes you feel like a gaming god, and the story? It's a wild mix of philosophy, revenge, and enough twists to make your brain do backflips. If you ever wanted to slice up cybernetic warriors while pondering the meaning of existence, congratulations. You just found your new obsession. Just be prepared to rage quit at least 17 times before mastering its combat. Remember when everyone thought Prince of Persia was dead, buried under Assassin's Creed's success? Surprise! It just pulled a sick parkour move and landed right back into our hearts. The Lost Crown brings back the fluid platforming and time-bending shenanigans we love, but now in a Metroidvania style that makes you question every decision you've ever made about navigation. The combat is buttery smooth, the bosses are harder than trying to parallel park in a tiny space, and the level design is so cleverly interconnected that you'll be kicking yourself for not noticing shortcuts sooner. The protagonist, Sargon, is basically a parkour master with a PhD in acrobatics, and the time powers make every fight feel like an insane anime battle. If you've ever wanted to run on walls, slash through enemies, and look ridiculously cool doing it, this game is your golden ticket.
Bear witness. My turn.
If Dead Space wasn't terrifying enough the first time, don't worry, this remake amps up the horror, the gore, and the number of times you'll scream like a lunatic. Isaac Clarke is back, stuck in a spaceship filled with nightmare fuel, and once again his only friends are a plasma cutter and an ever-increasing sense of regret. The necromorphs, more horrifying than ever. The atmosphere, so tense you'll develop trust issues with every vent you see in real life. And the zero-gravity sections, somehow even more disorienting because nothing says fun like floating helplessly while space zombies try to eat your face. The remake doesn't just look better, it plays better, sounds better, and makes you question why you ever thought horror games were a good idea. If you love a game that will make you jump, sweat, and probably pause every 10 minutes to recover, Dead Space Remake is a must-play.
Engage.
If you've ever played Dark Souls and thought, you know what this game needs? Shotguns and interdimensional nightmares? Then Remnant 2 is your dream come true. This game takes everything great about the first one and dials it up to 11, bigger worlds, tougher bosses, and even more ways to get obliterated by things you don't understand. Every playthrough is different thanks to randomized levels, meaning you can never be fully prepared for the horror that awaits, which is just a fancy way of saying good luck, you're gonna die a lot. The gunplay is absurdly satisfying, the co-op is chaotic fun, and the bosses? They range from mildly terrifying to why does this exist and why is it screaming at me? If you love hardcore action with a side of existential dread, Remnant 2 delivers.
I've got enough of that.
Elden Ring was already a once-in-a-generation masterpiece, so naturally Shadow of the Erdtree had only one goal, to break your spirit all over again. This expansion gives us a brand new world filled with horrific bosses, cryptic lore, and landscapes so beautiful you'll briefly forget you're about to die. The difficulty, cranked up beyond reason. The enemies, somehow even angrier than before. The new weapons, absolutely busted in the best way possible. It's a From Software game, which means if you're not dying at least 47 times an hour, you're playing it wrong. But once you finally slay that towering, godlike monstrosity after your 82nd attempt, the rush of victory is unlike anything else. This is peak Soulsborne experience, and if you think you can handle it, I salute your bravery and your patience. Imagine if BioShock and Wolfenstein had a weird, futuristic, communist fever dream of a baby. That's Atomic Heart. This game throws you into a twisted utopia where robots have lost their collective minds, and your only job is to not die horribly. The world is stunningly detailed, the combat is intensely brutal, and the story, somewhere between deep and absolutely bonkers, which, let's be real, is part of the charm. 1 minute you're solving puzzles, the next you're fighting off a swarm of psychotic ballerina murder bots. The weapon upgrades let you get creative with destruction, and the powers make you feel like a sci-fi superhero with very questionable morals. If you like games that are equal parts beautiful, chaotic, and confusing, Atomic Heart is your kind of ride. If you've ever watched a horror movie and thought, these characters are making terrible choices, I could do better. Until Dawn Remake is here to prove you wrong. This game takes the iconic 2015 horror masterpiece and upgrades it with stunning visuals, even better motion capture, and more ways for you to accidentally get everyone killed. Every decision actually matters, meaning one bad choice could lead to a gruesome death faster than you can say, wait, I didn't mean to do that. The tension is so thick you could cut it with a machete, which ironically is also something that will probably kill you in this game. Whether you play it alone in the dark or force your friends to suffer with you, Until Dawn Remake is horror gaming at its finest. Just don't get too attached to anyone, because they probably won't make it. Alan Wake 2 isn't just a game, it's a psychological horror trip that makes you question reality, your sanity, and whether your flashlight batteries will last long enough to survive. The story is so layered and twisted that even the game itself isn't sure what's real anymore, and the atmosphere, pure nightmare fuel. You're constantly on edge, wandering through dark, eerie locations where every shadow feels like it's hiding something that wants to eat you. The gameplay blends survival horror with mind-bending narrative shifts, and just when you think you understand what's happening, the game throws you into another dimension of confusion. It's brilliant, terrifying, and weird as hell, making it one of the most unique and unforgettable horror experiences in gaming. If you love beautifully crafted nightmares, this is the game for you. And there you have it, 20 absolute must-play games that prove gaming in recent years has been nothing short of legendary. We've had Jedi Showdowns, Ninja Cats, Haunted Romances, Eldritch Nightmares, and even killer robot ballerinas. Truly a lineup for the ages. So tell me, which one of these games blew your mind, stole your sleep, or made you throw your controller in frustration? Let me know in the comments, hit that like button, and if you haven't already, subscribe for more chaotic gaming greatness.